It's the 2A Rights Defender channel. And we got the first video of this channel today. And this video is going to be about how Maryland is one of the key states in bad gun laws. Okay, so in 2011, I was arrested in Maryland as an out-of-state resident and caught a 4203. That's their penal code. So it started off as a 2-count indictment, basically, because they indict state misdemeanors that they count as serious. In Maryland, handguns and stuff fall under public safety law. So that is one strike. So it was a 2-count indictment. My lawyer got me pled down and I pled to a lesser charge, but it's basically going to expose. Now, this is not to say the state of Maryland is bad. Let me start off with that, because I'm not even going to do that. They have their stipulations, but at the same time, there are a lot of bad laws that leave too many gray areas and people like me stuck in them and disarm unconstitutionally. Like, I'm not supposed to really be disarmed because I'm not a violent felon. I'm not a violent person. I'm a taxpaying citizen. So, long story short, I was arrested in Maryland, PG County Task Force, Gun Task Force. So it seems like, me visiting my peoples over there, somebody was skeptical about me and might have actually got me in trouble. Like, might have called the cops on me. But, I don't care about all that. It was a long time ago. But this is the indictment letter that they sent me way back then. So when I got arrested, the cops took me to district court and I was indicted. I don't want to really give my my address, but as y'all can see, circuit court. So that's an indictment letter. You know what I'm saying? This is back in 2011. Okay. Now, let me make sure I'm covering my information. Okay, so this is like the little sheet that they give you when you get out of court. So basically it says waiver of rights at plea. See, this is where they line you up in particular gun-hating states like Maryland, California. Basically, the video is about how they set statutes on laws, okay, and they're too high. So the federal government basically needs to come in and make things clear and concise, like for real, okay? So, for example, the federal government states that any violation that can potentially get you sent to jail for more than a year is a felony, 2 years for state misdemeanors, right? So you don't have to go to jail. And see, that's one of the points I'm trying to get to. That's not fair. If you are not incarcerated like hard time, no. You see what I'm saying? So that needs to be revamped too, because that's a part of where the gray area comes, and I'm explaining why. Because states like Maryland, their 4203 that I violated has a 3-year statutory penalty on the first offense, okay? Which means everyone that was an out-of-state resident that had their firearm in their trunk, in the case, no ammo, locked away according to federal guidelines to take it through states, right? They still get locked up in Maryland. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you're in simple possession of the actual firearm. That's where they get you. Just the fact that you got it is going to get you sent to jail. So it doesn't matter how it is. If a cop pull you over in Maryland and you got a legit gun and you didn't have their HQL, you're not even supposed to have it in the state, which means they want you to drive around the state. Don't even come through. So that's where it's robbing people of their Second Amendment rights. Now, mind you, mine was a nonviolent misdemeanor long time ago. Now, point one or two, wherever, because I'm freestyling. When I checked the Maryland sentencing guidelines, because they do have sentencing guidelines. Now, first off, the feds didn't pick my particular case up, and they probably could have, because I actually came across a state line. And I had my gun concealed. In Virginia, It is open carry, concealed carry with a permit, right? And it was my fault for not knowing the laws, but I will be one to debate the saying that lawyers say, ignorance to the law is no excuse, when it actually is. And I'm going to explain why. Because we're all not lawyers. We don't practice the law every day. So people don't spend their time looking into everything. You see what I'm saying? But we do move about in commerce. So that's why I will argue against that particular saying. And they used to say it on Better Call Saul, is because ignorance to the law is an excuse a little bit, because nobody's going to specifically read all 50 state laws. Like if I'm about to plan a trip and I'm just about to jump in the car and we packing our stuff and go, I'm not about to go and find and read hours of laws of where, the state that I'm actually going to. Because if you're a law-abiding citizen, why do you need to do that? You see what I'm saying? So by Maryland having stipulations like that, it's an instant violation of the Second Amendment, because they require a handgun qualification license to carry a firearm. The right to carry and bear arms shall not be infringed, which means the right to carry means nobody can tell me I can't carry my weapon. The bearing part means in a straight person's mind, we look at situations like this. Bear arms means if a criminal threat invades my space, looks like he's going to be hostile towards me, and I brandish the firearm, which is bearing it, it will probably more than likely disarm the whole situation before it goes any farther. That's why they said bear, because the people that made these laws, they didn't just shoot when they seen somebody. No, if a threat came at them, they pulled their gun and said, halt, So that's why the cops are taught freeze, because they're bearing their firearm at you. When they yell freeze, they're bearing. You see what I'm saying? It's an offensive bearing, but they're bearing freeze. And it's a defensive bearing also, because they don't know what your mentality is. They don't know if you're going to start shooting at them. Let's just be real. Okay? So I was indicted on a 2-count. They dropped it down. I pled guilty to a lesser charge. My lawyer never formally let me know that I lost any gun rights. You see what I'm saying? So I'm making this video because, and this is one of my loopholes I found. See, I found a lot of loopholes that I'm trying to get to an appellate lawyer so that they can push it up to the Supreme, because the U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeals just voted in our favor. That says that a nonviolent conviction that's years old and you haven't reoffended in years shows, I'm paying my taxes and stuff. I work jobs and I'm law abiding. I haven't done any more things. That was that one violation. Haven't been incarcerated. That it doesn't trump our Second Amendment right to defend ourselves. So the Third Circuit Court of Appeals up in Pennsylvania voted in our favor. Now, my situation is what you call an as-applied challenge. Right now, I'm still as applied, because now that it got through the U.S. Third Circuit, it's on its way up to the Supreme. And we're just praying that the Supreme Court votes in our favor, because I am stuck in a gray area. Okay, this is why I'm going after states like Maryland, and other gun advocates go after states like Maryland, California, Massachusetts, Connecticut, states with New York, states with bad gun laws. You see what I'm saying? Because they create gray area loopholes by setting a state nonviolent misdemeanor to 3 years statutory penalty, even though y'all never send anybody to jail their first time getting caught with a pistol in Maryland. You just want to disarm them. That's the reason why. Because according to federal, any state misdemeanor that can send you to jail for more than 2 years makes you prohibited. So that's why they made it 3 years. They added the extra year. All they had to do was change that stipulation to 2 years, and it will free me up. You see what I'm saying? I won't be no longer prohibited. It's lined up like that for that very reason, in my belief. And I can see it, because it's a gray area. I'm a non-violent misdemeanor. I'm not a felon. I'm registered to vote. I have been given 2 different jury duty notices when I got off probation. Now, this is the jurisdiction that locked me up. So why, if I don't have all my fundamental rights back? I'll explain that. This is another one where Maryland gets you. Maryland's weapons charges are under public safety, so they're not on the expungible offenses list, okay? You have to get a pardon from the governor, and he never give them out like that. So that's the paywall. That's what, in video gaming, that's what you would call a paywall. Pay to win. You see what I'm saying? That's not fair. It wasn't set up like that. I did my probation, never violated, had employment, all of that. Kept a legitimate ID, everything. I'm re-registered to vote. I have jury duty notices, but yet I don't have my 2A fundamental rights. You see what I'm saying? These bad laws cause a lot of gray areas. They trap people like me in gray areas, okay? Now, if you go online and look up a case called Binderup, Binderup, Suarez, Suarez. That's what I fall under. Binderup Suarez. Daniel Binderup and Julio Suarez. I don't really mess with Binderup because his charge was no. That's kind of something like if it was proven to be real, no. He's no. But Suarez, I fall under Suarez. He caught a Maryland 4203 in 1991. It is 2024, and they are just now getting around to making his gun rights come back, like literally last year. You know what I'm saying? Like his case is a part of what came through the U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeals and won. And that was recently. That was like last year. So this is what I'm saying. It was right after the New York versus Bruin case, like the New York State and Pistol Association or something. I don't keep up with all the monikers, but I watch a lot of gun channels on YouTube because I'm logical enough and smart enough to get down to the core bottom of why things are how they are in particular areas. Now, I'm not a racist. I'm not going to play it on the racist demographics, but the area that I was arrested, the jurisdiction is majority what they call Black, Latino, urban. So, but I'm not going to speak on that because it's the same thing in Virginia. But Virginia is not the Wild West. It's a difference when you go amongst citizens and everybody's carrying. See, back in the 1500s, I dare you to try to tell somebody they couldn't have their sword. You couldn't even tell the criminals not to have their swords. Everybody had a sword. This was before guns, but everybody had a weapon, and you kept it with you. You see what I'm saying? Now, we are the militia as tax-paying citizens. Now, what they try to get you is when you say fighting a tyrannical government, they say, so you're going to turn your and start shooting U.S. troops? Hell no. Because most 2A fundamentalists think of doomsday scenarios. We don't think of the government coming and killing us, bruh. It'd be no point. We think of doomsday scenarios, which means if shit hits the fan, we need guns because the military, ambulance, firefighters, police, nurses, doctors, everything around you will break down. Everybody has a family and everybody's going to get their own people. That's what will happen. So, I don't want to go off subject, but that's why these gun laws need to be changed. It's very bad. I should not have to get a governor's pardon of a state that I'm not a resident of. I made a simple mistake of not knowing the law. But that is a violation of my Second Amendment. By just saying, coming in the state, I'm not allowed to carry. No, that needs to be constitutional carry throughout the whole entire U.S. Because when you're putting regulations on a person's actual right to carry, you see what I'm saying? It's not a well-regulated militia. You're trying to regulate the firearms. The people have to have the training. You see what I'm saying? Like the moment that, like if the Supreme Court was to overturn and make me unprohibited, I'm going to both states. I'm going to go to Virginia, get my CCP, and I'm going to come to Maryland and see if they allow me to get one also. You see what I'm saying? If Maryland does not allow me to get one, I won't carry. I don't carry guns now because I'm prohibited. I'm not a felon and I'm not a natural criminal, so I'm not trying to catch a felon in possession. Okay? But I have a lot of freaking loopholes. A lot of them. You see what I'm saying? And one of them I found, right? Okay, and I'm not gonna say that one because that one's for the court. That one's it's legal bound. Like I don't want to get myself in trouble. But I will give you this one. When you hear that the 2A is a God-given right, the reason why people say that is because everything in nature around you has a defense mechanism on it, but humans. If we're not working in unison with numbers to improve overall humanity together, we war like we do now or bicker. We have little internal struggles amongst humanity, but without numbers, all you have is your sword, your weapon. You see what I'm saying? If a hunter, or let's not even say that, okay? Let's say, for example, I'll use myself. Let's say I did have my 2A rights, right? And I had, two freaking big revolvers. But I was on a job or something and had an accident. I got trapped in the wilderness, okay? It's a big difference if I didn't have these two loaded revolvers. If a fucking bear, excuse my language, but if a bear or something or mountain lion comes out of the woods. And see, this is why I advocate why California has very bad laws, because I am tired of getting on social media, seeing humans running along places like Runyon Canyon. I never been out there, Runyon Canyon or whatever they call it, but these little pathways up in the mountains, and there's cougars and wild animals like that, but yet they can't have their guns if they running up there with the kids or something, or the daggone animal comes out to snatch the human or the baby or the dog or something. It makes no sense. Okay, it's a nature-based thing. Like you can't even go in the wilderness without a gun. Okay, now I've heard other advocates say this: the president will not disarm. He's protected by firearms all day, every day. Every president, every big shot on earth, including him. Not just him, but more. And there's no diss because I don't diss politicians and none of that, But the fundamental subject of the video is that states like Maryland, California, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, y'all gotta lighten up, man. Because you take away a lot of people's life, like a lot of stuff in their life when you take their gun rights. Like I can't go to the gun range legally. Like the most I can do, I can't go on a hunting trip. The most I can do is go in a gun show and look at guns, or go in a gun store and look at them. Because I'm not a felon, so I'm not willing to lie and try. I'm not willing to go in there and fill out a 4473 and click no, because I think when I look at my record's been shielded or something like that. See what I'm saying? Because I'm not a lawyer. When I look at my docket from this particular only case that I ever caught, got 3 years unsupervised probation, didn't do anything wrong, was released. They never sent me letters saying you are formally off probation. You know what I'm saying? Ever since that, when I looked at my court docket, it was a paragraph in there that basically showed like what judge sentenced me, what I got. They deleted that now. So when I go look at my public record, it just gives a guilty disposition, but it does not show what I was sentenced to. They took that part of the paragraph, like they took a big paragraph out of my docket. So that made me think my stuff was shielded. So if I would have went and tried to fill out a 4473 thinking that my docket is shielded, now I'm good, but I get denied, and then luck of the draw, an ATF agent or something come ask me or check me out, and I'm like, dang, I didn't even know. You see what I'm saying? The federal government needs to check these states. They need to allow them to make sure that their supplemental laws are still fair and clear and concise according with the federal government, not an extension or something, because basically you leave people up to their own devices and they could make mistakes simply by trying to figure something out. Now, when my defense attorney last year, when I called him, he'd act like he wasn't even interested in helping me expunge my conviction. So it makes me think he might have got a bonus or something that he might have to pay something back if my record gets expunged. But like I said, Maryland does not even allow my particular 4203 up for expungement. You have to get a pardon, and they're rarely given out by the governor. So that means that it's literally lined up to disarm people. Anybody that ever rode through Maryland that got pulled over that was from out of state, you could have been on a traveling trip. Simply, if you was in possession of your weapon, you got disarmed. That is what we're saying. So the gray areas that are created are these as-applied challenges, which I fall under because I'm an as-applied challenge. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to hold this up. This is part one. You know, it's your 2A rights defender, man. And we got more work to do, but I got some points. And if any good gun channels hear this video and you take some of my points that you might not have known, feed them up the ladder. Get them to the people that count. You see what I'm saying? I don't have that much pull. I'm just a regular person. So the more people that know about these bad gun loopholes and laws, see, because they talking about like private sales was a gun loophole, gun show loophole. No. A gun show loophole is illegal. The only gun show loophole is a person that can't pass a background check and the dealer sells him one under the table. You see what I'm saying? But there's no such thing in a straw purchase, which is illegal. But private sales, like in Virginia, that's where universal background checks killed. Okay? Which means I could have a friend. We both will pass a background check, but I give him a gun for his birthday. Like I literally go, he could be a collector, never even shoots his guns. They just hang up on the wall. You see what I'm saying? But I can't go buy him a gift anymore. Everybody got to be checked out. Like you can, but you got to do your background checks. Now, I'm not against background checks. What I'm saying is that it's hard, okay, for guys like me, because I can't defend myself. It's hard for guys like me to get my gun rights back through states that are holding them hostage through little things like pardons and stuff like that, or unexpungible charges. Okay, now I'm going to leave y'all with this one. In 2020, in the pandemic, I was staying in Maryland, nursing my pops, all right? This is right before he got COVID, like literally right before he got sick. A dude broke in our house. Now, my neighbor had cameras. She caught him basically on her porch pulling at the door, right? This dude comes up and down the whole block. He pulls on everybody's door, no cars in nobody's driveway. My car is in the driveway, and my screen door, my storm door is unlocked. I'm asleep. He starts kicking my door. It's construction going on around. So all the banging and stuff, I could not hear him kicking. Like boom, like I could feel the house vibrating, and I thought it was them. When my pops yelled, bro, he darted out of my house. So I guess he came in there to steal. But at this point, it is a home invasion. Okay? It's not a burglary. It's not trespassing anymore. Because real burglars, if you know stupid criminals, they'll case you and wait until you're not home. But the home invader don't care if you're in there. That means he coming in there to do some kind of harm. Because if he know people in there, he's got to have some kind of force, to try to stop you from getting on him. So the guy breaks in my house. He ran out. I called 911. The first thing the dispatcher asked me is, were any firearms discharged? Was anybody shot? And I'm like, why would she ask me that? So I asked her, the dude broke in my house. Why would you ask if he was shot? Like, why would you ask if I shot any guns? No, I didn't shoot anything. When my father yelled, he ran out of the house. You see what I'm saying? Now, it goes back to my case. I didn't do any jail time on my offense because Maryland has sentencing guidelines, okay? So I never had any priors. I was an adult. I was over 21. I was in the legal carrying age. I was an out-of-state resident. My gun was clean. And I got indicted because the cops locked me up, took me to district court. I seen the commissioner made bond, like they put us on the chain gang, had us waiting out in the cold as shit. I'm talking about snot running, you know, because they take your belt, they take your shoestring so you can't hang yourself or choke nobody up if y'all start fighting in there. They take everything. So, and like they take your coat. It was cold, like in the middle of winter. It was like the beginning of March. So we out there like there for about 30 minutes. And then we go see the commissioner. So I make bond. So go back to the cell for a minute, fall asleep. I get up. They let me out. Okay. This 2011. My offense is a simple handgun misdemeanor possession. Exercising the 2A, basically. Just had my gun on me like that in somebody's car that I wasn't even driving. Okay. And we got stopped by the police. And she had parked in a no parking zone, literally. When they showed me my discovery, I could see from the cop car, the picture they took of her car sitting in between the two signs. I'm like, what is going on? Like, seriously? So this is why I'm saying they violate your Second Amendment rights instantly by having all these stipulations and not allowing people to carry. That offense I caught is a level 6 offense in Maryland. 30 days mandatory minimum to 3 years if you fall under the sentencing guidelines. See, I didn't have no prior. I was a clean bean. So my sentencing guidelines said 30 days probation to 3 years probation, or like 30 days in jail or something. So the judge, she gave me 3 years unsupervised probation because they didn't even put me on papers. See what I'm saying? So this is why stuff like probable cause, they can't use that they smell weed anymore, because that's what they used in my case. And I didn't have no drugs. It wasn't no drugs in the car. We wasn't smoking no weed. They just seen her between that no parking sign. Now, technically, she should have just got a ticket, but a task force came, like they kind of knew I had the gun, came right up to me. And I wasn't doing anything with my firearm, never brandished it, nothing. You see what I'm saying? It's a level 6 offense. Now, the guy who broke in my house, that says a felony, 25 years. It's a level 3 offense in Maryland. Make that make sense? It doesn't. Okay? So this is how I know this is a state that is intentionally trying to help disarm citizens. It is more gun legislation passed in Maryland than in any other freaking state. I can't lie. They always coming up with something out here. Now, I just checked the new sentencing guidelines for this year. Now, it's 5 years for my offense that only offered me 3 back in the day. It's still a level 6 offense. You see what I'm saying? But now, it's a mandatory minimum 30 days. It ain't no just instant probation. You got to go to jail for my offense now. I checked the 2024 sentencing guidelines for Maryland. They changed it from when I got arrested. So this is another reason why the Supreme Court needs to start clearing some of this ruckus up. Because if the guidelines and stuff are changing, I shouldn't even fall under them categories no more. But because Maryland does not allow this particular charge to be expunged, you see what I'm saying? That's how they rob you of your gun rights. You can't get it back because when they disarm you, they leave you as a prohibited person forever. Okay, it takes some special work to get a governor's pardon in Maryland. So this is the end of the first one. This is your 2A Rights Defender, man. Thanks for listening, YouTube. See y'all in the next one. Later.